The good people of Biafra, the great IPOB members, and all lovers of freedom all over the world, I come to you today with greetings from above, the greetings from Chukwokika himself. I say, it shall be well with you, all ye that love and seek good, all ye who hate good things and those who advance evil in the land of Biafra. You will never know peace, and it will never be well with you. Today, I'm premising my discourse on yesterday's court case. Yesterday, all of us saw what played out in the court, where the Nigerian state took another step into bastardizing or frustrating yesterday's case so that it must not hold. This is so that they can buy much more time to see how they can talk our Supreme Leader Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, Chukwu Kikeji Ejozi, out of fighting for his people, how they can talk him out, see how they buy him over with money and promises of filthy political offices. But it is unfortunate that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, our Supreme Leader, the Ohamadike one, is not ever going to yield to all they are coming up with, because he is an elect. He has been pre-designated by nature, by God himself, to lead and take us away from the land of Egypt. He is the Joshua of today. He is the Joshua of our time, for Moses has done his own part. This craft, as we saw yesterday playing out, is all coming from British government. The Fulani man we know, you know, has not such intelligence to produce ideas that will work. British is always the devil on the cross. There have been a lot of disagreement amongst the British parliamentarians of recent, but this we will be knowing about it in fullness. Some members of the British Parliament are so offended the way British government is allowing this kind of evil to befall the innocent people of Biafra, how the bloodletting activities of Nigerian state has been encouraged by British government. This is constituting a disagreement. It is making so much disagreement in British Parliament now, as some parliamentarians are so very disappointed, and this we will get to know maybe from February. We will see them play out. When God is working, God will even go to the fold of the enemy and produce messiahs. From that same Britain that is fighting, coming up with devilish ideologies to dissuade Biafrans from pursuing, from fighting to actualize the land that the Chukwokika himself has promised his people. That same land, that same British Parliament will produce the men and women who will stand strong to say no. This evil cannot continue. How do I know that British government can actually remedy the situation if they want? I know because there have been a lot of cases of political prisoners where the UN intervened on the pushing of British government, the British state. America had wanted to intervene in Biafran case, for America hates it whenever they see a Christian a society being intimidated and humiliated. America has so much interest in the oil of Nigeria, but America also want to always be the police of Islamic states, the watchdog. America always wants to play that role. But Britain has always talked them out. That is not our focus now. Our focus is that British government can actually help out if they want to. British government, they have done this in the past and they can always do it, but because they have two main targets. First target is that they are not having robust economy now and they are cleaving onto some backward states in Africa, especially Nigeria. They don't want to let loose of the milk that flows from the land of Nigeria, which is from the Biafran part of the state. They don't want to have a competing, that one is not only within Britain, but Britain is pioneering it. They don't want to have a state that will spring out from Africa to compete with the Western climes. This is why the evil evil ruling class, the evil monarch class in the British government have been fighting tooth and nail to ensure that all effort by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is bastardized. Even when they are too subtle about this, but their own weapon is the most demonizing. What happened there in Myanmar? What is even happening today in Myanmar will tell you that British government can actually fight. They can actually fight to liberate a people. They can actually fight to protect anyone if they wish to. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's own case is quite clearly different because he is a passport-carrying member of British state. He is a British citizen. That is, British would even have been more inspired, been more provoked to intervene. But because they are so very much against the emergence of the state of Biafra as a new state from Africa, British intervened. You can remember that Aung San Suu Kyi of Myanmar have received a lot of aid from British government, have the interference from British government and by extension UN on her case have been so very enormous and very evident that private investigators, British investigators, reporters has been there in Myanmar for some time now. British have been pushing for her case, for her release, for her freedom and the freedom of her people. British is making so much human.
Moving on to our next story. Now, it has been 11 months since the military in Myanmar seized control of the country on February 1st.
Aung San Suu Kyi. What happened in Louis Xiaobo of China? Nelson Mandela's case. There was so much division and there was so much clear interference or interest development by members of British Parliament. A lot of people there came up to say, actually, this man is not fighting for a wrong cause. Nnamdi Kanu is not the first political prisoner that British government will turn their back at him, even when he is a British citizen. Martin Luther fought America. Even British still was interested to see how America torpedoed Andrei Sakharov, Václav Havel, Akbar Ganji. Even in Belarus, we had over 9 political prisoners in Belarus, and some of them have been released on the aid of British state. How many will I count? How many will I count? It is so clear that British government have been so very out to frustrate Nnamdi Kanu's case. They want to make sure it's not because they hate him as a person, it's because they know he will actually get this freedom. It's because they know actually he actually mean well. They know he is out to organize a new state that will compete with the Western climes in a matter of decades. They know. They have seen the fire in his eyes and they want to make sure he is stopped. They want to talk him out. They want to engage him. But this engagement, they never did it until they know he has come to this level of seriousness, that he has awakened the minds or the reasoning of Biafrans and lovers of freedom all over the world. That is why they are doing everything to stop him now. But The question is, how far can they succeed in stopping him? The case continues this morning. The case continues today. And we'll see how our legal team will push. At the end of the day, two things are possible. They might further linger this case. And they might also decide to throw him behind bars, maybe for just a period of 2 years, for the Buhari's led APC government to complete their tenure. And from there, they will see how they further delay and see how they keep talking to him behind bars. That's what they want to push for. But because Jehovah Elohim is involved, because he is interested in our freedom, because he wants the good of his people, because he will always lead the fight of his good people of Israel, wherever they are found in the world, the good people of Jude, the people he loved, not because of our wonderful lifestyle, it's because he has chosen to love us. We will thrive. We will succeed. I did mention in the case of Myanmar, I mentioned the case of Myanmar on recounting the number of cases of political prisoners and cases of human rights abuses and communities that have been states and people that have been impoverished, that have been incarcerated, that have been wrongly treated by the state from where they are seeking to go away from, and from states where someone is rising to speak to defend his or her people. We have seen how Britain have the capacity to intervene if they want to intervene. And in this very case of Mazin Nnamdi Kanu Okudio Hamadike one, British government has every ground, has declared the robust locus standi to intervene in this case, and it will be right, even in the eyes of law and international communities, and no one will say they have wrongly intervened. Normally, when you deal wrongly with a British citizen, your state must, will unfailingly face the wrath of British state. Our legal counsel, the special counsel to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has eliminated all of us on the case of Umaru Dikko. Umaru Dikko, and how British state intervened and threw behind bars all those people who played out, who partook in any measure in the extraordinary rendition attempt, because it never succeeded in the only an attempt, and all the people that was involved were captured. They were rusticated, they were thrown behind bars, and were severely punished for attempting to play with a British protected person. Umaru Dikko was never a British citizen, and he received a severe intervention from British state. Nnamdi Kanu is a British citizen, and he is receiving British frustration. You can see the clear difference. I will still talk about even people from our bloc, some Biafrans parts who are speaking against this cause, those who are working under the brainwash. Very handful of persons, and it's so very disappointing that some of these people are actually learned, but that's not what we have come to talk about today. I want to use the case of Aung San Suu Kyi of Myanmar. How the Myanmar juntas threw her behind bars for 15 good years, even when her husband was too sick to point of death and was not allowed to come out, and how British state intervened and made sure she regained her freedom. British state actually played out, and she again won election in this same Myanmar, even after her serving jail time, because She is widely loved by her people. She defends the interests of her people. She fights every day to see the good and the welfare of her people is realized. And some people, like the Fulani hegemon in the state of Myanmar, are fighting tooth and nail to see that this woman does not shine, does not rise. She won election again in 2015. 2010 is a different case. In case you don't know where is Myanmar, Myanmar is in Southeast Asia. Myanmar is a bordering city. It's in fact, Myanmar is where we call Burma. We remember the Osofia Nkemowo's movie Burma War. I think it popularized the state of Burma, that is now Myanmar. In Myanmar. In Myanmar is where we have their very neighboring states to Thailand, India, China, Laos, and Bangladesh too. So for some of us who don't really know that part of the world, this is a bordering land to Thailand, China, Laos, Bangladesh, and of course India. So it is not a place that it's not really too popular. But the case of Aung San Suu Kyi, the lady that has really proven herself, that's proven the fact that women can actually even be stronger than men in a society where evil thrives, especially. In her case, since 1989, she has been under incarceration by Myanmar military junta. You know, wherever we have tyrants, there is always a military and extremists. There's altar of extremist hand in it. In Myanmar, a set of people, an insignificant tribe, has been towering in the military world, in the military section of Myanmar state. This is exactly the picture of what is happening in Nigeria. In Myanmar, some Western states have been very interested in seeing how the matter of military junta is addressed, and some others are busy firing, encouraging the spread of violence in the land of Myanmar. And this woman said, no, I have Western knowledge of how new states and how sovereign states develop. That with the kind of despotic approach from the military junta, that the state of Myanmar can never develop. And she deemed it fit to come in and see how she advance the state of Myanmar. But those people who are benefiting, those communities who are sucking others dry in the state of Myanmar, occupying the high positions in the military, and they want to make sure such a voice like the voice of this lady Aung San Suu Kyi will never rise. She was incarcerated, released, put on house arrest again in 2015. She won even more. She won the election. She even won. This is to the point that she won 23 of the 26. She led her party into winning 23 of the 25 seats in the parliament. You can see that kind of intimidating victory. On that account, they say no, that the election was fraudulent. The kind of cases that these people use, when you see them in evil governments, they don't even have any reasonable reason. They don't even have any sensible reason. No logical reasons they don't have, because when you see any person of divine calling to liberate his or her people, they are always upright. You cannot easily falter them. You cannot easily see any reason to throw them behind bars. Like this lady I'm talking about, since from onset till today, while she have been incarcerated, there cannot be any justified reason for throwing her behind bars. Just like there is no justified reason to have Nnamdi Kanu suffer the incarceration he has suffered for the past 6 months. No reason whatsoever. All of the gibberish documentations they are bringing up to you there in the court are too flimsy. That a man was about to be killed and it was so open. On the attempt to get his life removed, a lot of people around him at that moment in time were killed by the heavily armed military men. Is that how to run a state? Is that how to run a state? Okay. In 2015 again, she won election. In 2020 again, she won election. 2020 she won election, even more. That's what I was trying to say. 2015 she won. 2020 again she won. And even instead of giving him power, she was thrown behind bar on the account of acclaimed electoral fraud. Where did this fraud exist? Panels of inquiries, investigations have been carried out, and there was no such cases of, no iota of threats of electoral fraud, and yet she is still behind bars. Tyranny. People who never want to see a society where the ordinary man will have good life. That is what we have in Nigeria. That is exactly the case we have in Nigeria. And today, British is interfering on that. Myanmar still has their sovereignty. And somebody will tell you, hey, Nigeria is a sovereign state because of that. British cannot just come like that. And British is coming just like that to interfere, instituting panels of inquiries even to the electoral fraud claims, the violation of her human rights. Aung San Suu Kyi's case, they are instituting panels upon panels, investigatory panels have been instituted to investigate her case. Panels have been instituted to investigate her case. UN panels also, apart from British panels, they are pushing up many cases in Hague. International Court of Justice is looking into her case. Today, the same Britain that is trying to work on the ground against their own citizens. That is what I'm trying to point out to you. Against their own citizens. One of the other cases, like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case, that Aung San Suu Kyi's case, that Aung San Suu Kyi is charged with, is that she was bringing up communication equipment. It's one of the charges they leveled against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Communication equipment that she was not authorized to bring such cases, so because of that she was thrown behind bars. Communication equipment. What was she communicating? Why were people buying the idea she was communicating? Just because of this, if you come to her region in the state of Myanmar, since 2017, her state has been under attack, severe attack by the state of Myanmar. Is this not exactly what is happening in Biafran land? The southeastern states of Nigeria has been under heavy attacks, intimidation, humiliation, even, in fact, I wonder why UN cannot come, because there have been pictures, video clips that are real, that anybody who wants to question it should take it to the laboratory and see if these are doctored video clips. But these are raw video clips of, even some cases, the military own up to showing, even the video themselves showing how they annihilate communities in Igbo land, in Biafran state, how they annihilate, they go for obliteration move. They video themselves carry out. This is to say, you can do nothing, and even the international community is with us. That the UN is backing us. The simple message is that UN is backing us. Then, UN, why are you backing up a community annihilation move? Why are you backing up ethnic cleansing move? UN, are you not seeing the hundreds of people that are killed in Benue states in Nigeria? Are you so blind to see the evil killings going on in Abia State, in Imo State, in Anambra State, in Nigeria? Are you not seeing all of this? But you are too quick. You are too quick to see the little village bombing or shelling in Myanmar. Can't you see, can't you smell that it's a clear case of conspiracy? Can't you see a clear case of conspiracy by British government in connivance with Britain in this intimidation in Biafran land by Nigerian state? Is it not so clear? Is it not so obvious? Can't you see that investigative panels have been set up, and all courtesy of Britain? In Myanmar, a lot of investigative panels of inquiries, they have been sent to Myanmar to know why, and they actually covered a lot of these killings. In Aung San Suu Kyi's community or part of the state, this genocide in the Myanmar, the parts where this Aung San Suu Kyi hails from, this lady is not a British citizen. British government is pioneering the investigation of her case. British state is leading the investigation of her case. That's what I mean. The burning of houses, the violation of human rights, the killings in Biafran land, British state is paying blind eye to it. That is why Nigerian state is still busy acting in sheer aloofness, in clear ignorance. They are acting with so much audaciousness because they know British is backing them. Just imagine the kind of killing that went on in Ihiala, in the community next to Ihiala. The kind of carnage that was set up in Abia State, Afaruku. What of the case of OD, even when Obasanjo was in charge? The case in Zakibiam, did British state ever look into it? The British. Why are you too evil? Why are you too evil? You want to, all your interest is just to make sure you are sucking the milk from the land, and the same people you are sucking the milk from their land, you hate them with so much passion. If not, tell me what justification you have. What justification do you have to pay blind eye to the fate, the nefarious fate that Biafran state is facing, the good people of Biafra are facing in the hands of Nigerian state? And you are paying blind eye to it, and you are paying open eye to Rohingya. You are so interested in the few houses that are burnt in Rohingya, in Myanmar. And somebody will say, Britain will intervene. Britain, and British is an evil state. But from the same evil, we will have men and women from that state. We know we will have our head. God is going to chair it himself. Can we in any way compare the kind of human rights abuses in Nigeria, or even in Biafra in Nigeria, or in the southeastern states of Nigeria, to the human rights abuse in Myanmar? The burning of buildings, the very burning of buildings in the land and in the cities where this woman Aung San Suu Kyi hails from in Myanmar. Can we compare to that human rights abuses, the kind of killings, the terror, the mayhem from the state of Myanmar, to the kind of killings, the kind of human rights abuses, the terror from the state against the people of southeastern or defunct eastern Nigeria? Can we compare it? What has happened? How many crimes, state crimes, have been committed against the people of Rohingya? The Rohingyan people have not seen 1/10 of what terror the federal government of Nigeria is unleashing. The mayhem, the terror, the carnage that they have been setting in the southeastern or the defunct eastern Nigerian part cannot be compared. It cannot in any way be compared. And yet, the UN is so interested in that case. British government is so interested. Go and read about the case. Go and read about the case.
On February 1st.
Go and check how many buildings have been burnt.
Leaders and detaining Myanmar's
how many buildings have been burnt in Rohingya?
Now, latest report has now revealed that the Myanmar military is now resorting to a strategy of massacres and scorched earth tactics like burning of villages as weapons of war. Visuals on your screen of a town in Myanmar called Tang Klang, which is situated in northern west state of the country, and now lies smoldered due to artillery shelling and firing. Also shows fire raging inside buildings and charred churches. According to an investigation based on interviews with 40 witnesses, Tang Klang is the most recent example
the Myanmar
military's new
strategy is to try to
a strategy
create an environment
of total war to maintain its grip on power.
Killings,
the massacre
burning of houses,
earth tactics, like razing of entire
humiliation,
represent, however,
dehumanization,
numbers that can be proved.
Carnage,
the reality is
and even videoed by the military men themselves. This is military junta in civilian rule. Military junta in civilian rule. Is that the kind of state you want us to remain in? Let's kick them out for yourself. These are human beings. So tell me the justification that British state has to intervene in Aung San Suu Kyi's case against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case. Just watch for yourself. They are pushing for the human rights abuse, human rights violations, the killings, the house burning in Hendra, in Myanmar. They are not pushing for the killings, the ethnic cleansing, the annihilation, the attempt to obliterate a race by Nigerian state against Biafrans, against the people of
result
Idoma,
of the People's Defense Forces operational there. And we see
they are not
the civilian
talking about
there,
the human rights abuses and violations by Nigerian state against the Igbos. the carnage that was set and videoed in
terror and try to silence civilians,
the Hiala killings,
and also try to
the raiding that actually was carried out by the military junta
drive
in
out the
civil
PDF
state
forces that are trying
in
to
Owerri, in Imo State,
defend themselves against the
clear setting of ablaze of houses on the account of, or on a claim account of some civilians shooting or killing one military man. The evil that has always defaced the faces of the Nigerian daily news, the televisions, the social media itself, and Britain is intervening. I can even leave that case even to go to the case of Belarus. If I go to that case of Belarus, you will see another measure of evil and impunity when a ruler, not a leader, is in the position of authority, is in charge, and how the conspiracy of foreign states plays out. We'll talk about Belarus. Where is Belarus? Belarus is a neighboring state to Ukraine, direct neighboring state to Poland, just a little dividing line, just a little step out, about how many kilometers you go to Slovakia, a little step out again, you will see Hungary. So, in this part of the world, a man is serving, men are serving, about 9 men only in Belarus are political prisoners, even till today as we speak, though some of them has been released on British intervention. Some of them have been released on British intervention. In Belarus, it's a state where they have a tyrant who decides the fate of human, who says sit and everyone sit, who coughs everyone catches cold. That is the same tyrant, the same kind of monster that is building up in Nigerian state. And you don't want us to run away. A state where maybe you will be having good time with your wife, maybe the president says no, your wife coughed wrongly when she was in the metropolis hospital the other day. They start to bully her before you and take her away from you. That is the kind of monster that is building up in Nigerian state. In Belarus here, according to the reporter, the UN Human Rights Council mandated reporter, a Hungary professor who prefers his title as Mr. Miklos Harasti. In reporting the case, of course, he's a Hungary citizen, a professor in University of Hungary, and a parliamentarian in Hungary, but he's so committed in fighting for the voiceless, in fighting for the ordinary man, in ensuring that the human rights of ordinary man is protected at all time, unlike the kind of hungry, kind of selfish professors that we have everywhere in Nigeria. This professor, Mr. Miklos Harasti, was making his reports without fear of favor. He was so committed in picking every aspect of human rights abuses on Belarus citizens. And this one especially on the political class, because the tyrannical government of Belarus was so targeted at clamping down on every politician rising. Like in Nigeria, Mr. Miklos Harasti reported that the Belarus judiciary is a mere appendage of the executive. So that the evil, the inhuman, the denial of human rights in Belarus was a product of the cooperation of the Belarus judiciary. That he had to bring out some laughable cases that the politicians that was opposing the tyrannical government of Belarus were charged with. He brought a kind of laughable, like there was no freedom of the press there. The press was so clamped down at, yet this professor, Mr. Miklos, insisted in doing his job. And he did it very well. Look at the kind of cases they were having, like the case of Mikalia D. Zadok. Mikalia D. Zadok was a politician who was wielding serious influence, that they know he can win elections. They charged him for leading protests, which they will always target as riots. They charge him again for not wearing, after he has served for leading protests, they charge him again to keep him in, to make sure he's still, like the way they are still keeping him on the Kanu unlawfully. They charge him for wearing a tracksuit when he should be wearing prisoners' outfit, apparel. They charge him for not cleaning the cell where he slept. Where he sleeps, if he like, he can sleep in a pig's place. This is the kind of laughable charges that are leveled against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. In 2011, Mr. Nicholas Statkevich was also charged, a politician that was also wielding influence. He was also charged that he was leading protests, which is just, the man was, doing his campaign, educating the masses on the need for having a good government, a government that will be for the people, a non-tyrannical government, a government where there will be freedom of expression, total freedom, human freedom, all will be granted, will be easy, will be possible. And they captured this man, threw him behind bars, and still, when he was done serving that term, without being tried, they also charged him again for not sleeping on time when he was when he was serving his jail term. That he doesn't sleep on time. These are the kind of flimsy excuses, flimsy court charges that a whole judiciary that should be the last hope of the common man was bringing up. Like they are bringing up this kind of flimsy charges against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, our supreme leader, the Ohamadike one, the man that has been elected by heaven to serve, defend, and lead his people into freedom. Another man that was suffering, that suffered the incarceration. There are a lot of them. But let me put up this. Let me bring up Mr. Yuri Mopsun. Mr. Yuri Mopsu, the man they say he led protests in 2013 ahead of the election. A protest they called riot, and this never happened because they want to do everything to clamp down on people that were voices that were crying, that were recognized amongst the people. They also charged this other man for insulting a judge. A man told the judge that this man, Mr. Yuri Mopsu, he actually told the judge to his face, this judge, that he is a mere piece of rag. He just confronted the judge and told the judge to his face that he is violating laws, that he is not working in consonance with the laws of the land, that he is not practicing law, that he is not defending the ordinary man. He told the judge, Mr. Yuri Mopsu told the judge to his face that everything he stands for is everything that is against the law, that he doesn't practice law, that he practices witchcraft. That they took an offense. They said he was abusing the lawyers, he was abusing the judge and insulting the judge, just like Nnamdi Kanu is charged today. One of the cases that Nnamdi Kanu is in Nigeria is facing today is that he was calling Buhari names. He was insulting Buhari. These are the kind of the societies that Nigerian state is emulating. Nigerian state will never emulate anything good, will never look up to states that are doing well, the states that are developing, that are improving, but rather they will be looking at onto states that were never do wells. If states run by never do wells. Thank you, my people. We will continue again. Maybe tomorrow. Next time we'll meet. Thank you. We don't have time. We need to follow up the court case today.